And good evening. It is a dangerous night out there for millions. As we come on the air, one tornado after another touching down across the South, already devastated by 3 straight weeks of spring storms. Take a look at this, a massive funnel cloud right there spotted in Allendale, South Carolina, after the National Weather Service declared a tornado emergency for the city. The fast-moving storm also bringing blinding rain and hail, drivers pulling over to wait out the dangerous conditions on the roads. And a lightning strike reportedly igniting this 4-alarm fire in Johnson County, Texas. Crews battling the flames forced to pause and take shelter when yet another tornado was spotted nearby. These storms have already turned deadly, millions bracing for another night of severe weather. Al Roker will have that track in a moment, but we begin first with NBC's Jesse Kirsch reporting tonight from inside the storm zone.
Tornado behind R&R, ladies and gentlemen.
Tonight, for the 3rd straight week, devastating storms slamming the South.
The area in yellow is a brand new tornado watch just issued moments ago, goes until 9 o'clock tonight.
A tornado outbreak reportedly touching down across the southeast today.
What you're seeing is a tornado, Allendale, South Carolina.
Alabama and Mississippi in the path of destruction.
Debris scattered everywhere. Power lines down.
Security footage appearing to show one suspected twister ripping through Newton, Mississippi. Trees torn down, homes damaged.
I need to get out of here. We're not in a good place.
Overnight, the storms turning deadly in Texas, where officials say one person was killed. Extreme winds up to 60 miles per hour, blinding rain and damaging hail hitting the Lone Star State. Gusts tipping over this 18-wheeler near Dallas. Firefighters shattering the windshield, rescuing the truck's driver, who reportedly walked away uninjured. Texans facing flooded roads and possible tornadoes, too. Severe weather forcing emergency crews to take cover while battling a large fire.
When we walked out on the front porch, you could see the whole glow from this fire happening.
And in Egan, Texas,
within seconds, this hit. And it hit hard and it hit fast.
One family says the storms flipped this RV onto a man who just managed to get his 17-year-old daughter out of the now mangled vehicle.
She was walking in the house screaming to call 911. He was laying right over there and could not move for like 2 hours.
All right, Jesse Kirsch joins us now live from Egan, Texas. Jesse, we see there that RV just behind you that was overturned. What's the latest on that man who miraculously made it out from under there alive?
Yeah, Tom, tonight, fortunately, the family says he is in surgery, but he is alive. The family says he has broken several bones, including all of his ribs. And it's remarkable, though, to say that he is alive when you look at the damage here. We're told that the RV actually was about 40 feet over there, tumbled over itself, hit the man, and wound up planted upright back here behind me. And through that window, we're actually able to see a mattress, which is a reminder that that 17-year-old girl was inside, thankfully rescued just before the RV flipped over. And again, her and her dad are both alive tonight, which is remarkable when you look at the damage behind us. Tom?
Incredible he made it out alive. All right, Jesse Kirsch leading us off from the tornado zone, which is expanding tonight. For more on the forecast and what we can expect heading into tonight, I want to bring in Al Roker. And Al, I'm looking at that radar. It is busy.
It is. And Tom, it's expanding. As you said, we've got tornado watches now from Florida all the way into southern North Carolina. And this line is expanding as it makes its way east. So here's the latest. We've got 17 million people at risk, including Albany. You've got Atlanta, Myrtle Beach, Savannah, Jacksonville, Panama City. But here's where we're really concerned. This area in red, the risk for EF2 or stronger tornadoes, EF2 from southern Alabama all the way into Georgia and now South Carolina. We're going to be watching this very closely. Tomorrow, 29 million people at risk for damaging wind gusts. A few possible tornadoes, Atlanta, Macon, Augusta, Montgomery, down to Tallahassee and Jacksonville. This system moves out and into the off the coast overnight, bringing with it strong storms and heavy rain pushing up into the northeast. Then we get a second system coming in tomorrow that's going to bring storms from Ohio all the way down to Florida. The ground's already saturated, so flash flooding is going to be a possibility. This continues out Thursday night, moving away, and another slug of heavy rain moving into the northeast and New England with several inches of rain before it's all over. And in fact, on Thursday, as that system departs, we got the risk for more severe weather again from the Delmarva Peninsula along the Carolina coast. Here's how we total up the rainfall amounts. We're looking up to 5 inches of rain, northern Florida Florida, southern Georgia, and then we slide up the coast 2 to 3 inches. And then as we get up into the Northeast, even more rain the way it's looking right now, Tom. But the big problem going to be these tornadoes as we move through tonight, and we'll continue to track them.
So many tornadoes popping up tonight. All right, Al, thank you for that. Turning now to a different type of devastation, this time in Ukraine and man-made. President Zelensky detailing the atrocities carried out in Bucha while speaking to the UN Security Council. Entire families killed. Our Richard Engel traveling there with his team, witnessing the horror firsthand.
To enter Bucha now, you have to drive past a graveyard of Russian tanks. Ukrainian troops kicked the Russians out of this Kyiv suburb and once again are in charge. But for 5 weeks, Russian soldiers occupied Bucha, destroyed much of it, and imposed a reign of terror. Today, residents were coming out of hiding. In front of their building, Valentina and her friend said Russian soldiers went apartment to apartment, mostly searching for men. They were breaking open doors with axes and sledgehammers, she says. If you talked back, they shot you. She wanted to show me something behind the building.
She's saying one of her neighbors was so frightened because the Russian soldiers were banging on his door that he jumped out of that window on the 3rd floor and came landing on the ground. He didn't die, hurt himself, but managed to escape. He thought the Russians were just going to shoot him dead. Desperation.
A few feet away was a grave Valentina dug with her friend.
You put up a cross. You buried 4 people here?
2 were our neighbors, she says. We don't know who the other 2 are, but buried them anyway. She says all 4 of them were machine gunned by Russian troops. She doesn't know why. Please don't let this happen again, she says. We are regular, hard-working people. Down the street, the Abramov family was in their home when Russian soldiers threw a grenade through the window and set fire to the house. Vladimir and his daughter Irina came running out in the cold in slippers. They started to ask, where are the Nazis? Give us their addresses, he says.
They said we are Russians. We came to liberate you.
The soldiers grabbed Irina's husband, Oleg, and took him out in front of the house.
They make him take his sweater off, then they put him on his knees and shot him in the head. I went on the street and blood was still pumping from his head. I started to shout, "Kill me too," because I have only one husband.
She thinks they killed him to scare others in Bucha into submission.
He was facing in this direction?
Yes.
And this part of his head, I still see the blood there.
Oleg was a welder. Irina says he never served in the military because of his bad back. When Oleg's killers left, it was very cold, and they took his sweater with them.
I always thought that they were our brothers. I'm half Russian myself.
Ukrainian troops estimate hundreds of civilians were murdered in Bucha. They are still finding bodies after a wanton disregard for human life here that even in war is a crime.
Tom, death and destruction are common in all war zones, but what's different here is that the Russian soldiers felt confident enough to go house to house, killing people in front of their fellow soldiers, and they were parodying back the dehumanizing state propaganda that Russian media has been pumping out. And that's very disturbing. Tom?
Richard Engel for us tonight. Richard, thank you for that report. Back here at home to Capitol Hill, a story NBC News broke, the testimony from President Trump's daughter and former advisor Ivanka Trump to the January 6th committee. The committee's chairman confirming she testified virtually for several hours today. NBC News senior Capitol Hill correspondent Garrett Hake joins us now with more. So, Garrett, what more can you tell us about her testimony today?
The committee had a lot of ground they wanted to cover, Tom. They wanted to know what conversations she was involved in the lead up to the 6th, whether she and the president knew that what they were asking Vice President Mike Pence to do would be illegal. And perhaps even more importantly, they wanted to know about her conversations with her father, the president, on the day of the attack. Remember, they are still trying to fill in that 7.5-hour gap where the White House records are incomplete, the phone records are incomplete. And one of the things they knew going into this meeting was that at some point Ivanka Trump went in to talked to President Trump to try to get him to call off the attack. Now, we don't know many of the details yet about what happened behind closed doors today, but we know that this testimony went long, Tom, nearly 8 hours of testimony today. Chairman Thompson told me Ivanka Trump was answering questions, and to the best of his knowledge, while he was in the room, she never invoked executive privilege or the Fifth Amendment. So the committee likely made some progress here today.
Yeah, and they didn't have to subpoena her either. So, you know, the committee spoke with Ivanka's husband, Jared Kushner, last week. It seems like they're getting closer and closer to former President Trump. As far as his children go, these were the ones directly working with him in the White House.
Yeah, you really can't get closer to former President Trump personally than his daughter. She was his other half in many ways, his closest advisor in the White House. This is a really important piece for the January 6th committee. Chairman Thompson told me today that the committee is basically done with the list of folks they originally set out to interview, that now they're mostly talking to other people who came up in the course of their investigation. They have gotten into the inner circle. They've gotten the people who are going to talk have spoken. The people who aren't, they're trying to hold in contempt. And now they're trying to really button up these last rounds of interviews so that they can shift into the public hearing phase of this investigation, which, Tom, they originally said was going to be early spring. Now it's looking like later in the spring. Don't be surprised to see it shift even further into the summer at this rate.
All right, Garrett Haken, our Washington team, breaking that big story tonight. Garrett, thank you. We're following also a major headline out of Oklahoma, where the state house has passed a bill that would make performing an abortion a felony, punishable by up to 10 years in prison, and the governor is expected to support it. Maura Barrett is in Oklahoma for us tonight.
Tonight, Oklahoma State House passing a bill making performing abortions a felony. The bill awaiting a signature from the Republican governor.
We're kind of living in what is almost like a post-Roe environment.
Hi, this is tonight Inside Trust Women. Are you outside our building? I need you to please come in so we can get you started.
This comes after the House passed one of the most restrictive abortion laws in the country last week. House Bill 4327 outlaws abortions right after conception, unless it's to save the life of the mother or if a pregnancy is the result of rape, sexual assault, or incest, as long as it's been reported to law enforcement.
It's terrifying to think that we're going backwards in time, that we're actually watching real time getting our rights taken away from us.
This as the state is already overwhelmed with demand from its neighbor.
I'd say like a vast majority of our patients in our Oklahoma City clinic are from Texas.
Back in September, Texas passed SB 8, a law that bans abortions after 6 weeks and lets private citizens sue abortion providers or anyone who helps a woman get an abortion for up to $10,000. Since SB 8 passed, abortions in Texas dropped nearly 60%. But research from the University of Texas at Austin shows that in the same time period, the number of Texans going out of state to get abortions increased, with nearly half of them going to Oklahoma.
So just so many patients traveling, which forced Oklahoma patients to have to find care elsewhere, right? They can't wait 3 weeks for an appointment either.
Marie Hoffman works at a Planned Parenthood in Tulsa.
How does it feel seeing the lengths at which these women from Texas are going through to still get this care?
It's inspiring, but it's also really sad that they even have to do that. They're not going to stop, though. They're going to find it somewhere. So it's not banning abortions, it's outsourcing abortions.
Meanwhile, anti-abortion activists like members of 40 Days for Life see these bills as an answer to their prayers.
Do you still count the bills as a win if women are just going elsewhere to get the abortions?
It's definitely a great start to a final victory, and we're in great position to when Roe v. Wade is overturned. The bills definitely reduce abortions. The abortion numbers go down. Some will choose to go out of state, but many don't.
It's not just Oklahoma. According to the Guttmacher Institute, 71 pieces of legislation have been introduced in 28 state legislatures this year to outlaw or ban all abortions.
It's been really hard to be kind of like a savior state for patients coming and then just being an afterthought, like when we're facing our own bills. Are all the patients in Oklahoma going to go?
Healthcare providers say this ripple effect in Texas and Oklahoma is just a glimpse of what's to come if Roe v. Wade is overturned.
All right, and Maura joins us now live from Oklahoma City tonight. So, Maura, tell us more about this chain reaction you're reporting on. You said that Oklahoma is already overwhelmed by Texans coming to the state to receive care, and Oklahomans have had to go out of their own state to Kansas because they're overwhelmed. What happens next if this bill passes?
That ripple effect just grows wider, right, Tom? The Republican governor here is expected to sign that new bill into law, and that will all be coming around the same time that Roe v. Wade is being challenged under the Supreme Court. Healthcare providers saying that this bill and these laws hurt people who can't afford to travel, take time off work, or can't find childcare to be able to travel back and forth to get this care. And these clinics telling us that this ultimately takes away from them being able to focus on gender-affirming care or providing contraception. Tom.
All right, Maura Barrett for us tonight. Maura, we thank you for that. Now to the pandemic. A New York City mom who worked for the city crashed the mayor's press conference this week, demanding answers about why masking is still required for children under 5 at schools and in daycare. Now that woman is out of a job. Right now, New York City, a city of nearly 9 million people, has had only 17 people go to the hospital with COVID in the last 7 days. That, according to the city's own data. Priscilla Thompson tonight with more on the back and forth that played out right in front of cameras.
There's no way my kid's going to wear a mask for 8 hours a day.
The fight over masks for New York City kids under 5 is now reaching a boiling point.
It's been too long for our kids wearing masks in school. It's been over 2 years.
The city dropped the school mask mandate for kindergarten through 12th graders last month. Mayor Eric Adams promised to do the same for kids under 5 this week if COVID numbers remain low.
Cases are definitively rising, and it's gotten our attention.
But with the new variant taking hold, New York City officials are recommending everyone wear a mask indoors and requiring it for kids ages 2 to 4, still too young for the vaccine. Some parents, including Daniela Jampel, are fed up.
Toddlers have to wear masks while no one else has to in New York City. So how much more patience does the mayor expect me to extend him?
Jampel confronting the mayor at Monday's press conference.
10 days ago, you stood right here and you said that the masks would come off on April 4th. That has not happened. You reneged on your promise.
No. Let her finish, because you let her start. Go ahead and finish, ma'am, okay?
When will you unmask our toddlers?
There's a new variant. The numbers are increasing. We're going to move at the right pace, and that's the role I must do. That's what I stated. I'm living up to my promises.
The city says Jampel, a lawyer for the city, posed as a journalist to get into the press conference. Now she's out of a job. A New York City Law Department spokesman says they had planned to fire Jampel before the incident, adding today's events, however, which include her decision to lie to City Hall staff and state she was a journalist at a press conference, demonstrate a disturbing lack of judgment and integrity. Jampel says she's hiring a lawyer and that, quote, I will not litigate my wrongful termination in the press. Meanwhile, thanking her supporters in a tweet that has amassed more than 1,800 likes, promising that the fight continues. But some parents say masking toddlers who are unable to be vaccinated is still the right thing to do.
That's a good idea because the kids tend to get sick a lot and they transmit the virus more easily.
Across the country, statewide mask mandates have mostly disappeared. The decision now left to individuals. New York, one of the last major cities to keep in place any sort of mask mandate in schools.
All right, Priscilla joins us now live from City Hall here in New York City. So, Priscilla, some parents are saying it's time for the masks to go. The mayor, though, not backing down on the mandate for young children. Do we know what the thinking is here from the city, since the most vulnerable, the elderly, don't have to wear masks?
Yeah, Tom, city officials are concerned about some of the case numbers that they're seeing, and they know that there is a new variant out there that is more contagious and that this is a group of kids that is not yet able to be vaccinated. And I think what city officials don't want is to have to shut down daycares and preschools because of an outbreak among this group that is not yet able to be vaccinated. We saw some of those shutdowns occur at other points during the pandemic and the devastating impacts that it had for parents, particularly those who are working, and also for students in terms of learning loss. And I think the mayor and his health officials are trying to avoid that. But I will say I've spoken to some health experts about this, and they say don't expect this mandate to remain in place for years to come. They think that it will likely only be a few more weeks before those students under 5 may be able to take those masks off. Tom?
Yeah, they're going to wait and see what happens with this variant. All right, Priscilla, we thank you for that. We're back now with the growing calls for a New Jersey mayor to resign after recently uncovered recordings allegedly captured him making racist and sexist remarks. But But now the question, was taxpayer money used to keep them a secret? NBC New York Chief Investigative Correspondent Jonathan Dienst has that story.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mayor Sal Bonacorso here.
This video from the Clark Township website shows Mayor Sal Bonacorso publicly updating residents. But a couple of years ago, a police lieutenant turned whistleblower privately recorded the mayor. The mayor allegedly used racial slurs, and a source familiar with the recordings provided us with a copy. And a second source confirmed their authenticity. And the recordings include other past examples. And the recordings include comments about female officers.
As far as female cops go, I hope there's never any, but they're all disasters that I've seen.
The audio includes conversations of the mayor talking to the one-time Clark police chief and a sergeant. One conversation centers on the Republican mayor having to apologize to the nearby city of Plainfield. That apology for a 2017 incident where girls basketball players complained about a puppet found hanging in a locker room. The then chief was recorded saying this. The sergeant at a different time was also heard making offensive statements.
He ain't a big dude, he's just got a big monkey head on him.
No denial from the mayor, but he said this at a town hall meeting last night.
There's a lot of accusations out there that are very hurtful to people, to myself and others. We all agree. We all agree on that, ma'am.
Mayor Adrian Mapp of nearby Plainfield believes Clark residents should demand Mayor Bonacorso resign.
To use those kinds of racist remarks is something that cannot be overlooked. They can't be explained away, and clearly it was his voice on the tape.
Some Clark residents last night spoke out.
I am so embarrassed to say that I live in Clark now.
You all ought to be ashamed of yourselves. You really should.
This is the man who made the recordings, Lieutenant Antonio Minata. Through his attorney, Minata declined comment. Past legal papers obtained by NBC New York show the town paid Minata $400,000 on condition he turn over all copies of the offensive recordings. Recordings which for 2 years were never made public until they were recently leaked. No admission, no apology from the mayor last night.
We wanted to vigorously fight it. The insurance company wanted to settle it. Out of the $400,000, $70,000 was paid by Clark. The rest was by the insurance company.
All right, WNBC Chief Investigative Correspondent Jonathan Dienst joins me now. Jonathan, I mean, the mayor's on tape. It's clear it's him. What is he saying tonight?
He's not saying much. Again, the mayor's not denied making the comments. The two police officials on tape also, they have not responded to repeated requests for comment. It should be noted, the county prosecutor took over that police department a while back amid widespread allegations of corruption and misconduct, and New Jersey State Attorney General is investigating, but a lot of critics say that investigation is taking far too long. For 2 years, they've been waiting, and these tapes just surfacing now.
And as you report the story out, the mayor is still in power there, so he's still in office. What's next?
We are awaiting the outcome of the investigation. State and county leaders are calling for him to resign, and we're told there are additional recordings out there, and there are a lot of employees who are upset. One is alleging retaliation, so a lot more to come, but as of now, the mayor still in office.
All right, Jonathan Dienst for us tonight. Jonathan, we thank you for that. Next tonight, to a horrific killing at a community pool in Florida. A man arrested for fatally shooting his wife just 1 day after stabbing her. And now authorities say he's also the person of interest in the mysterious disappearance of his former girlfriend. NBC's Isa Gutierrez has this story.
Tonight, a horrific scene at a community center swimming pool where police say this man shot and killed his wife while her daughter was taking swim lessons.
He followed her and chased her down and shot her like an animal, like he was doing hunting.
Authorities putting together the pieces as the family of 30-year-old Shondell Harris mourns. It all happened at a Jewish community center in Miami Sunday.
The husband
then showed up to the scene here and then shot her over at the pool deck.
The day before the tragic scene, officials say the suspect, 45-year-old Carl Watts Jr., stabbed Harris multiple times. The City of Miami Police Department telling NBC News in a statement they were aware of that incident, but by the time it was reported to them, Watts was gone and in hiding, adding that his wife was offered shelter but refused since she would stay with her mother.
Sir, you were arrested for 1 count of second-degree murder. I'm holding him with no bonds.
According to the police report, Watts approached Harris and began offering her money to drop charges against him for the stabbing incident. When she refused and asked him to leave, he shot her multiple times and, quote, continued to shoot her until he ran out of live cartridges. The family of the victim in shock.
She's a great mother. You know, she didn't deserve this.
We reached out to Watts' attorney and they had no comment at this time. Now, details of Watts' criminal history and other pending cases coming to light. NBC News learning he's a person of interest in the disappearance of his former girlfriend in Fort Lauderdale.
June 25th will make 8 years that Trakita's been missing.
In 2014, Trakita Scott was last seen here, leaving work to meet Watts. NBC6 reporting Scott's family publicly suspected Watts was involved.
Where is she? What did you do to her? Why couldn't you be a man and move on with your life?
Scott was never found, and police say her case is still open.
Domestic violence is one of those crimes where sometimes we don't have the full story as quickly as we wish we did.
Domestic violence is a major killer in the U.S. One study from the CDC showing that when the perpetrator was known, 50% of all women murdered were killed by their current or former intimate partner.
Domestic violence kills. There's resources out there. You don't have to live that kind of life.
All right, Issa joins us now live in studio. So, Issa, you have these 2 cases, and you were just telling me detectives from both these cases are going to start talking?
That's right, Tom. We asked officials today, is there any relation here? Are you going to be investigating these together? And the Fort Lauderdale Police Department that's looking into the disappearance of Watts' girlfriend from back in 2014 said, this arrest this week, these charges are not related to our case. However, we are now talking to the Miami-Dade Police Department about this Harris's murder case now. I also want to point out that the Fort Lauderdale Police Department had the disappearance case listed as a cold case as of today. So now conversations are happening, like I said, with this other police department. We're going to be keeping a close eye and seeing if there are any developments almost 8 years after that disappearance.
Incredibly sad all around, but maybe that other family will get some type of closure. Issa, we thank you for that. Coming up, the serial killer identified after more than 30 years. Authorities tracking down a man linked to at least 3 rapes and murders. What led investigators to the so-called I-65 killer? Stay with us. We are back now with Top Stories news feed, and 2 more people have been arrested in connection to a deadly mass shooting we told you about in Sacramento. So far, at least 3 people have been taken into custody. 2 of them are brothers. Authorities believe the gunfire erupted during a large fight in the city's entertainment district over the weekend. At least 6 people were killed and a dozen injured. All right, now to the man rescued from a burning car in Florida. Take a look. Police dash cam showing officers in Port Charlotte racing toward the fiery wreckage. Authorities say the driver was trapped inside with his seatbelt caught around his neck. One officer using a fire extinguisher to fight the flames. The other officers and a Good Samaritan finally able to cut the victim out and pull him to safety. He is expected to survive. No word yet on what caused this crash or that fire. The so-called I-65 killer has been identified after more than 30 years. Authorities announcing DNA evidence has linked Harry Edward Greenwell to at least 3 rapes and murders in the 80s and 90s. Police say he targeted women working at hotels along I-65 in Indiana and Kentucky. A 4th woman did manage to get away, and authorities believe there are more victims. Greenwell died in January of 2013. And an update on a story we brought you last night. Elon Musk will now join Twitter's board of directors. His elevation to the company's leadership comes just a day after it was revealed he bought more than 9% of Twitter's stock. He's now the social media giant's largest shareholder. The company's CEO welcoming Musk in a tweet, writing he's, quote, a passionate believer and intense critic of the service. All right, next tonight, we continue our coverage on the war in Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky using his first address to the UN Security Council to detail what he called a genocide in Bucha. Andrea Mitchell has more.
They killed entire families, adults and children, and they tried to burn the bodies.
President Zelensky today presenting evidence to the world of those Russian atrocities in Bucha.
They cut off limbs, slashed their throats. Women were raped and killed in front of their children.
He provided the UN with a graphic video to rebut Russia's denials of war crimes, scolding the UN for not carrying out its stated mission of peace and security because of Russia's veto power at the Security Council.
This undermines the whole architecture of global security. It allows them to go unpunished.
Secretary Blinken on his way to Brussels, vowing to hold anyone who commits war crimes accountable, along with those who ordered them.
What we've seen in Bucha is not the random act of a rogue unit. It's a deliberate campaign to kill, to torture, to rape, to commit atrocities.
But stopping short of labeling it genocide, a crime that takes years to prove. Outrage over Bucha led most of Europe to expel more than 200 Russian diplomats. The U.S. and Europe are also tightening economic screws on the Kremlin. The White House is expected to ban all new investment in Russia and target Russian banks and state-owned enterprises. But there are big loopholes. The U.S. is holding off sanctioning China and India for buying Russian oil, money helping Putin fund his war. The EU is also still buying Russian oil and natural gas, on which Europe depends, though today it banned Russian coal. Despite President Zelensky calling what happened in Bucha genocide, U.S. officials are not going that far. They are saying it is war crimes. But the UN ambassador, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, drew parallels to the Holocaust, saying that people from Mariupol and other parts of Ukraine are being taken forcibly to Russia and being put in camps. Tom?
Andrea Mitchell for us tonight. The conflict also causing some tension in space. Astronaut Mark Vande Hei recently returned from his historic mission at the International Space Station, and he spoke to NBC's Tom Costello, admitting the war in Ukraine has created some uncomfortable conversations between orbiting Russian cosmonauts and American astronauts.
How are you feeling after so many days on orbit in the station?
I am feeling a little stiff. Just yesterday, in fact, I was bending over to tie my shoes and was doing it so slowly that my wife helped me get my shoes tied because my lower back is not used to balancing like it once was. That's coming back quickly. Every day is a little bit better.
What was the greatest moment of being on station for so long?
In general, I would say the opportunity to do so much for all of humanity with all the sciences going on. But as far as a personal kind of delightful moment, I'd say looking out of our cupola, which is a Earth-facing window with some side views, and being able to see the Aurora Borealis. It's just a view that is priceless, and I will forever be grateful that I was able to see that.
A lot of people want to know, how was it being on station with the Russian crew members? Was there any tension because of what's happening in Ukraine right now?
So, as any human being listening to those stories, watching what's going on in Ukraine, it's heartbreaking. And there's a sense of helplessness as you feel like, gosh, you feel like you need to do something. My Russian crewmates are dear friends. They will always be dear friends. And there's varying levels of discomfort for them as well about the situation. But we had a job to do, and it was really keeping our attention a lot. So we stayed focused on that. There was no tension between the crew members as a result of it.
Did you even bring up the situation in Ukraine, or did you just wall that conversation off completely?
I think some of my crewmates tried to avoid it, but I was the only crew member of a Russian spacecraft that was up there, and I felt like I really kind of needed to get right with the situation. And I did bring it up with both my crewmates that I landed with, and really all I feel comfortable saying is there was a variety of responses. But it wasn't the type of thing that if I was uncomfortable with something, we had a good enough relationship that we could keep talking about it. When I was looking out the window, it was typically at night just because of orbital mechanics for us. At Ukraine, two things really struck me. Emotionally, it just felt very sad. In one view, you can see Kiev lit up at night, and you can see Moscow lit up at night. Moscow is much larger, but you can see them both at the same time from the space station. The other thing that was striking was how dark most of Ukraine looked compared to the surrounding countries, which is a very densely populated area and lots of lights. But Ukraine was darker than I would have expected.
It was sad.
Yeah, yes, for sure.
All right, Tom joins us now on set. Tom, this is such a fascinating story, right? A part of the space program that you never really think about, diplomacy happening up there. What was the tension like? What was the ambiance like in the space station?
So they insist, and I've talked to other astronauts over the years, Scott Kelly among them, who says it is all business up there because their lives depend on each other, right? The Americans and the Russians need each other, and they become good friends, and they know that somebody's good at one piece of equipment, another is an engineer on this piece of equipment, and so that's the general attitude. But right now, they say the conversations have been a little bit difficult at times.
Yeah, and I'm sure very short. Also, you were telling me about a very poignant moment, the view of war from space.
That's right. Van der Heij says he looked down at a certain point from the station and he was seeing Russia and Ukraine. Russia was lit up very well because of all the lights. Ukraine was very dark. And he said it just was very emotional and sad.
All right, Tom Costello for us. Tom, thank you for that story. We turn on to Top Stories Global Watch. An 83-year-old American nun has been kidnapped in northern Burkina Faso. The bishop of a local diocese confirming Sister Sue Ellen Tennyson was taken by armed men in the parish of Yalgo, where she has been serving since 2014. No one has claimed responsibility so far. The U.S. Embassy says they are investigating that. In Ecuador, authorities back in control of a prison after a deadly riot there. Video shows inmates on the roof of the prison in Cuenca during a fight between gang members. At least 20 people have been killed so far. Authorities say some victims appear to be poisoned, hanged, and even mutilated. About 1,000 police officers and soldiers were sent in to control the riot. Nearly 320 inmates have been killed in prison riots in less than 2 years. And states of emergency in Peru following violent protest over rising fuel and fertilizer prices. Protesters clashing with authorities in cities across the country. Toll booths and tires set on fire. At least 4 people killed and many more injured. About 10 million people now under curfew in the capital city of Lima and the port city of Callao. We want to head to the Americas and look at stories, of course, coming out of the U.S. and across Latin America. For 10 days, El Salvador has unleashed a crackdown on what officials are calling a war on gangs. The government says they have arrested 6,000 gang members in response to a killing spree back in March. The uptick in violence prompting a state of emergency, but human rights group says it could open the door to human rights violations. NBC's Guad Venegas has been following this for us.
A frightening image inside a prison in El Salvador, and President Nayib Bukele wants the world to see. He says it shows gang members punished and kept in crowded cells away from any sunlight since the end of March. Bukele says the food is now being rationed to 2 meals per day for gang members now facing harsher sentences. For 10 days, the country's national police has been operating with less restrictions. They say they've arrested over 6,000 suspected gang members, tracking them in neighborhoods, inside homes, and even hiding underground. The crackdown in response to one of the deadliest weekends in El Salvador, authorities reporting 67 homicides in a single day, prompting a state of emergency that gave way to mass arrest and tougher punishment to gang members already behind bars. This week, President Bukele doubling down on his efforts.
Ustedes desatan una ola de criminalidad y nosotros quitamos la comida en las cárceles.
Threatening that any retaliation to the recent crackdown would lead to further punishment.
Por ahí andan rumores que quieren empezarse a vengar de la gente honrada, al azar. Hagan eso y no va a haber un tiempo de comida en las cárceles. Uno. A ver cuánto tiempo duran sus homeboys allá adentro.
For days, the president touting the efforts on social media under the hashtag war on gangs. Bukele even asking parents to show the videos to their teenage children and warn them, saying gangs can only lead to prison or death. President Bukele operating with the support of residents and Congress, which first approved a state of emergency that allows for all new detainees to be held for 15 days without access to an attorney. A move that human rights groups say is creating a framework for abuse.
Las autoridades no han dicho ni han mostrado que haya investigaciones previas como para decir que están desmontando alguna estructura de pandillas y que justifique 6,000 capturas.
But Bukele responding to criticism, accusing them of defending the gangs.
Y no me importa lo que digan los organismos internacionales, que vengan a proteger a nuestra gente. Que vengan a llevarse a sus pandilleros, si tanto los quieren.
Now, this all started March 27th, so there's still 20 days left of the state of emergency, under which the National Police will continue to operate with less restrictions, and the president not backing down, warning that life will only get more difficult for all gang members in El Salvador. Tom?
Juan Venegas with the complicated and violent situation there in El Salvador. When we come back, the shocking COVID relief fraud, the influencers buying Ferraris, flights on private jets, and even luxury homes, all of it on your tab. Why many of these offenders may never be brought to justice. Stay with us. All right, we're back now with NBC's series, The Fleecing of America. Tonight, billions of dollars in COVID fraud, taxpayer money used to pay for things like luxury sports cars and private flights. But as Ken Delanian reports, many offenders may never see justice.
Tonight, authorities call it an astonishing haul. Luxury homes, private jet flights, $100,000 Ferrari. All bought, they say, by people who scam taxpayer money set aside for COVID relief. $1 trillion in government programs designed to keep struggling businesses afloat during the pandemic.
The money that's being stolen, yes, it's being converted into Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Bentleys, and Aston Martins.
And to support high-flying lifestyles. This Instagram influencer allegedly used COVID relief money to book a private flight to LA, where authorities claim she spent more than $5,000 at this hotel and then brazenly bragged about it on social media. Court records say she intends to plead guilty. Despite billions lost, the Justice Department says just 178 people have been convicted so far. Watchdogs say the fraud could reach $160 billion. Haywood Talcove, the CEO of LexisNexis Risk Solutions, tracks fraud for state agencies. He says even the most brazen lies went unchecked, with the government not requiring banks to independently verify loans.
They were told not to. They were told to get those loans out and suspend processes. How long do you think it does to do a check on a business or a person? It takes about 3 milliseconds to do a person, and it takes about a second to do a business.
One fraudster who applied for government help claimed he was running a farm with 10 employees out of this single-family home. That was enough to get him $150,000. He got caught, but law enforcement officials tell us most people who stole COVID relief money will probably get away with it. Juan Antonio Gonzalez is the acting U.S. attorney in Miami who prosecuted that case. To figure that out, what did investigators have to do?
Well, once you looked at the paperwork and once you saw what it was, all it took was a drive to the farm to see there was no farm.
Just a single-family home in the middle of Miami.
Exactly.
Weren't there due diligence checks made?
Well, there's supposed to be due diligence checks made, and obviously not all of them were done.
The program, which ended last May, saved millions of real jobs. But prosecutors say alleged criminals kept it from helping even more. Ken Delanian, NBC News, Miami.
And when we come back, homecoming surprise, the military dad back from Iraq and the top secret mission at home that was long overdue. Stay with us. All right, finally tonight, get the Kleenex ready. The Army National Guardsman back from deployment, but with one final and very special assignment.
For the last year, Army National Guardsman Tim Gordon has been serving our country bravely in Iraq, running a C-RAM defense system, protecting our bases from enemy rockets. Focused on his mission, but one thing was always on his mind, his family.
I can't wait to see them. I feel a year's a long time, and they're just going to be so much more grown than when I left. FaceTime doesn't do it justice.
Now back stateside and safe, Sergeant Gordon decided to surprise his kids at school in upstate New York. Kylie is 10 and Eli is 6. His kids thought they were picking up Dad from the airport on Sunday, but with some help from their mom, Sarah, who works at Whitehall Elementary, Sergeant Gordon was able to carry out a top-secret mission a few days early. Here he is surprising Eli in his kindergarten class.
Get over here, buddy. Oh.
Eli once told his dad to surprise him in school, but he wasn't ready for the real thing to actually happen.
Hey, You told me to surprise you in school.
Sergeant Gordon also surprising his daughter, Kylie, in her 4th grade class.
Oh, your sub is here.
This soldier has seen a lot in his life, including a lot of these videos. But he says the moment hit him in an unexpected way.
You know, everyone's seen the coming home videos online. You know, everyone watches them and tears up. But when you're actually part of one, on the other end, it really makes you feel amazing and feel really good.
A hero's welcome for a soldier, his wife, and their family, finally back together.
So glad that family's back together. We thank Sergeant Gordon for his service, and we thank you for watching Top Story tonight. I'm Tom Llamas in New York. Stay right there. More news now on the way.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.